Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to ESGT Official for round 4 of the GT4 series. We're at the island of Sardegna and we are here for 22 laps of touring car style racing in the best known fashion, the best way we can imagine. Just awaiting the final stock check. Bonjour Storm Holman, welcome to you. Whoop, of course, it's always a grand pleasure for me to see you. Mind you, Whoop is the man to go to if you want pro-looking overlays for GT Sport. He's done the designs for the IGTL broadcast. This is a really wrong time and place to be. Although I feel like there is no wrong time and place to be bigging up Whoop. Bonjour Storm, he is here. I was about to say before, we are awaiting the last of the stock checks. And if we go to the live pictures right about now, we're about to see a big wreck into turn 1, I think. Perfectly timed there with the cut in from live pictures. These stock checks, of course, to make sure that no one is hit by this grid bug where people get stuck on the grid and cannot move a tire from there, which is let's say an unlucky way to end a race. It's been on GT Sport for a while this way. We're making sure that it hasn't hit any one of the contestants here today. And the field is indeed a strong one. This we know for sure now. Let's go over the standings. After round 3 of this series, it is for Phoenix 7, Darkrai, who's in the lead with 231 points after a string of very, very strong results indeed. We have VLX Nova in second for, that goes for itself, I think, the virtual life experience. And their BMWs also having had a good run so far, 225 points picked up on his account so far, with teammate Huetzo in third with 218. We've got Ismatalik for One Racing Esports on 204 points, so by no means out of it in the McLaren. Bonjour Storm, the privateer, in 5th place on 201. Dr. Love Juice on 199 points, with Holman, the global racing team driver in the Lexus, on 197, despite a strong couple of results on his cape, so to say. We've got Fullness on 194 points, Amigo 188, X11 for Kinetic on 165, then 5S, who hasn't been racing that much, I think, 160 points. DJ for Phoenix Esports as well, 153, same goes for Tucho, and Barrels for Renegade in what is now the 3rd Porsche Cayman. Go back to live pictures here as we've got qualifying underway. The first couple of drivers are heading on to the formation lap. And as always, in the GT4 series, it's 20 minutes of qualifying. Open track qualifying, that is. So Slipstream, very much a part of it. And getting held up by other drivers, also in turn, very much a part of it. So it's all about keeping your nose clean, so to say. As we can see here, Darkrai for Phoenix Esports does exactly that. Really not wanting to become caught up in anything traffic-wise, which is a pretty good idea. The track, the layout here, the B layout of Sardegna is the first race that I commentate from here, so I'm not really that familiar with the place altogether. But it's a relatively wide track given the rural nature and the big elevation changes as well here. Darkrai having a bit of a squeezy battle with Pamigo. I'm wondering if they're not seeing each other. Oh, is that a move just to squeeze in ahead and get this lap to be a counting one for Darkrai? I'm not really sure. Pamigo seems to suffer a little bit. And of course, normally I'd have Chompie with me in the booth here for these broadcasts. I'm afraid that's not the case today, which is of course a bit of a shame, I think. Always a good bit of fun to have company with me here in the booth, and it is something we do appreciate as commentators. I think I can speak for us as a bunch, saying it's always nice not being alone. But alone I am today. I'll do my best to take you through the action. Nonetheless, as the first set of times are coming in, Darkrai there, very competitive. 1:23.5, that is for the Phoenix 7 driver. So also pretty close for VLX in the BMW, 1:23.865. Within reach. Barrels currently third in front of Holman in the Lexus. And here's Darkrai on the purple lap. He might get held up by that Ferrari going off and across the track. Oh my word. And into the wall. And was that the DNA Ferrari of Tucho's got it all wrong yet again? What a terrible bit of qualifying going on here for the Brazilian. Certainly not the way you'd want to start a session like this. He's currently 11th, a second and a half down. Bonjour Storm in 10th. We've got Fullness for Kinetic in 12th place at the moment. And X11 in 13th. I'm not sure that they've really ramped up the pace. That's the Renegade Esports, Cayman. Going very slowly on the left-hand side and getting in the way of Tucho yet again. Oh no. At this point, I think the Brazilian just wants to get this lap over with and out of his life. Maybe pick up a bit of slipstream from someone whom he can trust. If that's anyone, that seems to be a good question for him in the way. In the way there were a lot of cars for his sake. Same goes for Darkrai, who did improve, but who's now in traffic behind the, I was about to say regular Phoenix Esports, but they are of course teammates, the two. With a slight bit of color difference. I'll have to do some reading up on what separates or what parts Phoenix 7 and the Phoenix Esports part of the team from each other. I can tell you more about that next week. So finally Darkrai led through, and Nova taking a provisional second place here, almost 6 minutes into qualifying, but still almost half a second down. And those Honda NSXs have certainly looked superior, both on pace and pure lap pace, I should probably say, and on race pace. But that's taking nothing away from the drivers who've been piloting them. That is still a job to do. It's Nova and Huetzo and the BMWs who's been the main contenders so far as well this season. They're going to be up there as well, I think, today. By the looks of it, Barrels in the Cayman is 5th at the moment, but a second down on Darkrai. right about now, so room for improvement there is. But very close there in the midfield. 12,000 of a second separating Barrels and Hallman from one another at this point. And so that's a tight squeeze between the two, to say the least. At the moment it is DJ, currently 7th in the Phoenix Esports Cayman, because there is one of those as well. This is the 3rd Porsche Cayman GT4 entry in this series, a car that I am very much... I've had a weak spot for it for a long time, and that weak spot, shall we say, certainly hasn't gotten smaller over the last few weeks. With the introduction of this car, of course, to iRacing. Let's go a bit through the field as well here. Dr. LJ for DNA, speaking of Caymans. A 10th and a half off of DJ at the moment, so that's not too much time separating the two. We're closing in on the halfway point of qualifying. We still got Darkrai hanging around in the pits. Looks confident to do so. That has to be said, because it's basically just a time that he said that the entirety of the field is right now trying to hunt down, to chase down, and to better, and no one really managing to do so. Let's go on board here with Dr. LJ in this right-hander, one of the trademark turns of any Sardegna layout, and one of the major overtaking opportunities as well. There are quite a few of those. And then this seemingly endless string of left-handers to take you to the final kink, onto the start-finish straight. Hey P82, nice to have you along. Welcome to you in these times of troubles, global troubles. Not to walk around too far. Oh, is that Nova? Yes, it is. Times of troubles also for the VLX driver. But what I wanted to say is just, of course, that I hope everyone is able to stay afloat, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy and relaxed as well. Certainly something that I'm trying to do myself as well. Here we're halfway through qualifying. Darkrai on provisional pole, still in front of Nova. That's the kinetic Corvette of X11 that's gone into the gravel trap. But the two BMWs, I was about to say BMXs there. No, the two BMWs of VLX in 2nd and 3rd with the 5 signs. 4th at the moment. Huetzo improving upon his time. That's a 23.794. I don't think there's a lot separating the two BMWs, and that's certainly true. It's less than a 10th of a second. Hallman is still up there in a good position in the Lexus as well. He is 5th as Nova yet again goes off. And there's another incident as well. Oh, that's Barrels. So by the looks of it, I think we can expect a race with a certain amount of drama embedded into it for tonight. 22 laps So it's not going to be a particularly long one here with lap times in the low 120s. Expecting around 30 minutes worth of racing here. But it could indeed go and be a stunner, as they'd say in the UK, certain parts of the UK. Perhaps 15 years ago. I'm not really into the newest UK slang, to be honest. Perhaps Nova could wisen me up on that stuff. Jokes aside, tires and fuel ×3 for this one today. They're allowed to choose between softs, medium, and hard, so 3 compounds to choose from. I don't think we're gonna see anything but running on the softs. That's basically what we've seen so far in this series. I think there's been attempts to go on other compounds, but unsuccessfully really, which is pretty much in tandem with the general opinion on GT Sport. Usually pit stop times are quite short, and thus going for the softest tire is most often the quickest way to get through a race. Nova looking for improvement. Just a slight bit off through sector 1, that late apex. Through that banked hairpin corner. Very interesting track. These large elevation differences makes for some big shifts in dynamics to the car as well. As the weight shifts, and that affects the car in turn. Always difficult to handle, but there are nice compressions at the apexes and a lot of these corners where you can really sling the car around, and then these left-handers where you begin to come down the hill towards the start-finish straight, and it all changes and grip becomes something that's lacking, I think, to say the least. It makes it difficult. It makes it very, very difficult. And from the few races that I've commentated upon that's taken place here at Sardegna, it's been some excellent racing every time. The width of the track really invites to good racing. The sequences of corners allows the drivers to go side by side without having what can you say, a certain outcome to whatever battle they're having. Like if you're having 2 left-handers in a row, the guy on the inside is pretty sure to come out in front no matter what, you know. But the twisty nature of the middle section certainly allows for some very good battling. Also plays for slipstreaming. The straights are certainly long enough for some efficient slipstreaming as well. And a track that's gotten a lot of praise from the community as well in all of its layout. And understandably so. We've got 4.5 minutes of qualifying left to do here. It's still Darkrai. Nova not really seeming to be able to improve. Huetzo hasn't improved as well. Holman is up into 4th place, but 0.7 of a second off of Darkrai, so the American Phoenix 7 driver really showing that lap. It's a tough one to better here. A 24 dead for Holman. Close to improving, but failing to do so. Here we have DJ in 6th place. Barrels is currently 7th. Pamigo 8th. We've got Dr. Lovejuice in 9th. And is Madalik in 10th place, as Pamigo has a slight bit of a moment. And that's exiting the kink. That's turned to a track with a lot of corners. If you count all those small kinks and such as actual turns. And I actually haven't gotten to even have a count on it. So that's how many corners there are. And of course, a warm welcome to those of you tuning in during the qualifying session, of which there's now less than 3 minutes left of. And thus it is beginning to look more and more like another pole position for Darkrai, with Nova sharing front row duties. Although that could, of course, change here in the coming 2.5 minutes. He could still do a couple of laps. Is Medelik currently 4th in the championship standings? Oh! That is not what is Medelik needed, and that point, it's a critical point of the track, because it is coming on to the start-finish straight. But the Portuguese will have the time to get around for another flying lap that isn't ruined by a slow run up to the finish line like this. Poor luck for Medelik. 1.3 seconds off of Darkrai up ahead. So bonjour Storm, the man formerly known as Aveup. The only privateer. I always mention this fact, but it's a fact I love to mention. If you if you hadn't picked up on that yet, but Bonjour Storm is currently 10th in the Corvette. Very, very, very close indeed between himself, Dr. LJ, and his Medelik. They're all within half a tenth of a second. It's currently Pamigo in 8th, which has been one of the better qualifying sessions for the one racing esports driver. That's certainly not bad. To this point at least here, Barrels is fighting DJ there for 6th on the grid currently. And best of the Caymans. And then the question is, oh, with that with that off track here onto the grass, it is 4 Barrels. It's certainly not been smooth sailing for this qualifying session. It's still looking as if Darkrai is going to take a not only provisional but a very convincing pole position. I don't think it's going to be an improvement here, or is it? Final time, no, it's certainly not. But Darkrai, I think, takes pole position. Nova has not had a good lap. Huetzo is going to be 3rd on the grid in front of Holman. Unless things change here at the very, very end. Huetzo actually still got a lap here, and half a tenth off of Nova. This could be open for second if Huetzo can get that lap in to claim a front row spot. Gets a nice exit there of the right-hander. Is actually currently up by 1/1000th of a second into the final sector on his teammate's time. We see a lot of cars crossing the line, but no one really improving on the times. Here comes VLX, Huetzo, Kakaris. And what's it gonna be? 23. Oh, it's not an improvement. And Huetzo fails to improve, and thus also fails to grab a front row spot. And thus it is Darkrai, Nova, Huetzo, Holman, 5 Signs, DJ, Barrels, and Pamigo. That's the top 8 for you. And I'm sure there's going to be a confirmation telling you just that running order here. Let's take a look at the lower order standings. Dr. LJ in 9th with Bonjour Storm 10th. Is Metallic 11th. Tucho 12th. Fullness in 13th and X11, both of the Kinetics esports team. They are 13th and 14th. And thus, it is race time here from Sardegna. Phoenix Esports and VLX. It's been this way for this series so far. We haven't had the surprise pole sitter yet. Now we're watching for the lights. It's the old F1 style, 5 red lights now, and once they go off, they're off! And I think that's the Renegade Cayman getting a good run here. One of the NSXs are getting swamped. That goes for both of them here, and with both the VLX car making it 3 wide down towards turn 1. But Wetzo with the nose in front of Dark Ride though with the inside line into turn 1, and they make a little bit of contact. I think most of the field has made it through. Make that all the field. Nice, clean run there. Wasn't to be though, as someone's taking a spin further down. We're gonna have a look at who that is. As Wetzo for VLX is leading Dark Ride Nova, Dr. LJ, DJ for Phoenix in 5th, 5 Signs is 6th, Tucho for DNA in 7th place, and Barrels currently in 8th. And let's have a look here further down the field. Oh, it's Hallman getting pushed around. And then Bonjour Storm as well. Oh, that's a big old wreck. And Fullness, I think, is in it as well. We'll have to have another... Well, I said we'll have to have another look, but there is stuff going on in the race as well. We'll have to have a look at that. So getting a good run. And when I say that, it's actually Darkrai getting the brilliant run here. And the Aussie here having to defend into turn 1. And the pole sitter makes no mistake of that quick execution from Darkrai to regain the lead. Behind is Dr. LJ with DJ, 5 Signs there on the outside as the 2 Caymans battle it out for 3rd place. And DJ grabs it, I think, into the left-hander. Oh, Dr. Lovejuice though still there into the banked hairpin. And the DNA Cayman comes out on top. Bit of a squirm that might open the door for 5 Signs in the second of the NSXs. Let's just have another look at this. We're on board with the Wang Cam from Dr. Lovejuice. Trying to move this around a little bit to see just how far DJ actually gets ahead in the first of those corners, but a very persistent move. Not giving up there. A bit of a squeeze from DJ, of course, within the rules. Also trying not to go wide himself, which he does in turn. Dr. LJ doing well. Grabbed third. Started way down the line, and Nova is in 6th place at the moment. So it's been a terrible start for Nova, who's 2nd in the overall standings. Bonjour Storm has left the building. What is this a matter of? That's a good question, I think. It's hard for me to see whether that was connection issues or what that was. So the 2 leaders, Darkrai and Huetzo, is gaining on the rest of the pack. It's half a second between them. So Huetzo not really within striking distance, but behind Dr. LJ, there is a train forming up. And it's 5 Signs, DJ, and Nova, all within striking distance of one another here, as Nova actually tries to move up on the outside of DJ, lining up for a run here towards the final sequence of corners. It's Barrels in 7th at the moment in the Renegade Esports Cayman. So here they come across the line to start lap 4 of 22 to do here. Nova now on the inside, looking good for a move into turn 1 to grab 5th place away from 5 Signs. Oh, a bit of contact, almost. I'm not even sure if they actually did touch. On board we are with Nova to have a look at it, because I think he could have made a bit of contact there with the... Yeah, he did indeed. Slightly tapped the NSX of 5S. Yeah, you know what, Trials? that damn song has infected me too. And the actual Julie. Oh, what have you done? Oh, what have you done? There's some good battling going on here at the moment. The Caymans are looking stronger than they've been. And then, oh, that's a huge moment for 5X. And is that lag for Nova? I'm sure that is, but that's not looking good at all. That looked very strange indeed. Huge moment before. And that's for 5 Signs, of course. This is a bit of a gaggle, to say the least, as they're 3 wide yet again into turn 1 with Nova on the inside. And quite a bit of lag for the Brit. I'm a bit of a... I'm a bit of a... at a loss of words for the swaying Nova here, just driving straight through Dr. LJ in that situation. That looked a little strange. Of course, that just might be my perception of it. It was probably a legit move. It was probably a damn good one as well here. DJ and Dr. LJ going for it again at the end of the straight, coming up the hill. And into the final complex of left-handers. Oh, you took another 3rd, Trials. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, we got 3rd yesterday in the 12 hours of Sebring and iRacing. And there was a 90-minute race in this very car that we're watching at the moment. The beautiful Porsche Cayman GT4. In which apparently Trials claimed another 3rd place, so congratulations to you there, mate. Still watching this good battle. Oh! Okay, so it just dawns to me all of a sudden that while we've been watching this hot battle going on right behind the lead, the actual leader has somehow fallen back into 10th place. Darkrai, for the first time this season, is seeing some real trouble up ahead. There's a battle for 2nd place still. Nova. Oh, that's Nova going off as well. So the championship contenders both finding themselves in a bit of trouble. A spot of bother, if you will. Nova though holding on to 2nd, but 10th place there. Oh my word. Darkrai, having lost big time, is Madelik, who's fighting Holman at the moment for 8th place. They're going to be met by Darkrai in the NSX coming up on him rather quickly. Darkrai, who got 2/3 of the race, still left to go in order to make up some of that lost ground. It did not look like Darkrai had been in for a pit stop, and the wear and tear on car and fuel, tires and fuel, is exactly the same. So that's left Huetzo in the lead. Dr. LJ now up into second place. Nova, part of this very, very, very close gaggle. Second through 6th place at the moment, with the DNA driver Tucho in 7th. And this is certainly not going to be aiding any of the drivers who are involved in this gaggle's winning chances in the end. As for once, they seem to be strung out, but the slipstream, of course, are going to be making them bunch up. As we're on board with 5 signs. And for the 8th time, it's into turn 1 here as Nova regains 2nd place. And I think Dr. LJ got a bit of a bad run there. Oh, it's a bit of a big send, actually. And a bit of a push from Nova to make it through on Dr. Lovejuice. I don't think the American is going to be too excited. That got combined into ecstatic. But Dr. Lovejuice probably isn't going to be too happy in his Cayman there about the treatment. And he's been getting 5 signs now, looking for a move here up the inside of 2 cars at once. But it's only going to be 1, or is it? He's placed himself now on the outside for the final string of left-handers. And that's going to bring in Barrels again. And so there was no gains made in the end for 5 signs. Though very close. And up there behind, Darkrai is back up into 8th place. Oh, Dr. LJ gets a poor run. And that's going to be 2 positions dropped immediately as 5 signs cruises on through. Oh, actually, we're going to wait because they're heading down to turn 1, and it's probably going to be an interesting run this time around. Barrels gets well ahead as well. All of a sudden, Tucho and the DNA Ferrari is in there as well. So 5 signs holding on to 4th place. The early part of the middle sector here in Nova, with company from DJ in the Phoenix Esports, Cayman. They're on a hunt for Huetzo, the leading VLX driver at the moment, but the big drama has come for Darkrai here. The Phoenix 7 driver who's had some kind of incident, whatever happened to him. It's been a big one because he found himself all the way down in 10th place now, trying to muscle in a move on the Ferrari of Tucho, but there's no space, and the Ferrari's got a good bit of straight line ground that doesn't really allow Darkrai to get in immediately, at least. Tucho really fails to go defensive though into turn 1, and with a bit of a nudge from Darkrai, he's gonna have to give up 7th place. We're on board here with the American. There was that little nudge. These small contacts are at times almost inevitable, as I think Tucho lost another position there to Hallman. Yes, certainly did. Through the left-hander before the banked hairpin. And with Darkrai moving up the order, trying to regain some of what is lost. The question is, how far back up Will it be possible to go? It's looking like it would be a one-stop strategy for the entire field. Because of course, if it wasn't, we'd seen a string of pit stops already as we're almost halfway through the race. Looks as if most drivers should be able to do the race on a single tank of fuel without really refueling. Here there's the first couple of pit stops happening now. 2 drivers are in. That's Tucho and Barrels. Pamigo comes in as well. X11 and Fullness. And up in front, it's still Huetzo with a 6.1 second lead. Down to teammate Nova. DJ's in 3rd. 5 Signs in 4th at the moment. It's Dr. LJ 5th. Darkrai is up into 6th place with that string of pit stops as well. We'll have to see how that all looks. Will they be undercut by the early pitters? They will of course have bigger chances of clean air ahead plus fresh tires to go on here as Darkrai has a bit of a moment. And Chewy, it is indeed 1-2 for VLX at the moment. It's looking very fine for the virtual life experience. And with Darkrai all the way down in 6th place, Huetzo could be looking at taking over the championship lead actually. Not quite sure about that. In comes DJ, in comes Nova as well. Nova might have to do a little bit of fueling. Oh, I don't think that's the case actually. BMW is straight on out. Darkrai goes for the overcut here, which I find the idea of such impressive, given that the rest of the field is going to be on fresh tires. And Darkrai is behind Dr. LJ in this Cayman NSX battle at the moment. The DNA driver doing well to fend off. He's trying to squeeze out Darkrai on the outside. Does it work? No, it does not. And Darkrai is up into 2nd place. We're on board with Darkrai here. So Darkrai now up into 2nd place. Huetzo have yet to pit. The advantage of the VLX driver up in front, 12.2 seconds. Grass picked up there for Darkrai. Oh, does a late dive. Oh, that's half a second worth of penalty as well for Darkrai, which of course has to be served, I think, immediately after the pits. Certainly isn't going to be optimal whatsoever. Exits the pit in 6th place. We're gonna have to see. Yeah. And thus, I think Hamilton let through 5 Signs and go back down into 7th place. That's true for Darkrai. Tucho is right on the wheel as well there. Barrels down into 9th place. Huetzo still looking strong. I would expect the Portuguese. Portuguese. I would expect the Aussie to have to come in on this lap for fresh tires because anything but I think could turn out to be expensive in time lost over pure lap time. Look at that, the last lap for Huetzo is a 1:25.7. So what's the point in continuing unless Huetzo is going to go for the no-stopper? And that's an interesting thought, I think, because this could very much be what's happening here. Dr. LJ is coming in. been massively undercut by a lot of the field. Dr. LJ for DNA regains in 9th place after having run in the sharp end of affairs for so long. And the current standings is VLX 1-2 with Wetzo and Nova. Then DJ for Phoenix Esports is Metalik for One Racing Esports. Then Phoenix Esports double with Darkrai and 5 signs in the 2 NSXs. Tucho in 7th and Barrels in 8th at the moment for Renegade. The aforementioned Dr. Lovejuice is in 9th and Holman down in 10th place as well. This is not where we're used to seeing the GRT driver. So a bit of catching up to do for Holman as we're into the final third of the race. Hello Din, welcome to you, nice to have you along. So we're back here with the leading car, leading by 14.5 seconds. We're just beginning to wonder whether the strategy is just right for Wetzo. Oh, Darkrai has gotten past on 5 signs. There's a gap of 4.5 seconds to close to Ismatalik. And the question is, can Darkrai get back in a position to retain the championship lead? Certainly doing whatever possible with the best lap here. 24.3 and a purple first sector to match it. Picking up a bit of grass. It's gonna be another purple lap. Nope, but it's close. And there was a net gain of 1.5 seconds on Ismatalik on that last lap alone. Still 7 laps to do. 6.5, that is. But I think that 12.5 second advantage, that by the way has gone down a little bit as well, as Nova is now running away from DJ and gaining on Wetzo in the lead. And for me, it's still looking as if Wetzo is attempting a no-stopper here, and that'd certainly be interesting. Still where it doesn't look too bad. Fuel looks to be okay. And Wetzo looks to have the situation under control. Mind you, I don't think there's going to be a lot left of that 12-second advantage. He's going to cross the line in the lead. But it's an interesting tactic to have one stopping and one not doing so. Wetzo, of course, was in a good position to do so all the way through. Whatever happened there to Darkrai earlier, sure, that must have been interesting to actually see here. Darkrai now having caught up to Ismatalik. That 3-second gap having all but disappeared. And that went fast. That went very fast indeed. Darkrai yet another purple sector, this time up by a 10th, but finding that McLaren ahead, that's surely going to slow him down. We're on board with Ismatalik. Darkrai goes to the inside, and I don't think there's any defending this one. It's going to have to be a cutback then. And there just isn't going to be the space. Ismadelik even gives a bit of a push to Darkrai. Should have looked at least. I don't necessarily think there was any considerable amount of contact between the two. Just a bit of a love tap. And Darkrai with a big cut of the grass. That could and should indeed be a penalty, and it is. Another half a second. It's not going to aid the process of catching the cars ahead. Oh, and Holman has left? What has happened to Holman? Poor old Holman. We're sitting in 9th. Of course, we cannot see him. We cannot find him. There's the GRT car. And it just disappeared. Straight out the blue. And that's gonna be our second retirement. Following the earlier retirement of Bonjour Storm, also to unknown reasons at this moment. Perhaps Discord could enlighten us on exactly what has happened. So still VLX 1 and 2 with about 4 laps of racing left. The gap is down to 9.1 seconds. Nova's last lap here, it wasn't of course, but the last lap by Nova 1:24.8. Wetzel with a 1:26.2, so it's gonna hold out for the Aussie at this current rate. Darkrai still in 4th place. Slowly losing out on the lap times, but with 3 laps left and a gap of 8 seconds to cling on to, I think Wetzel is going to be good for the win. Nova's increased the gap down to DJ in 3rd. It's 5.5 seconds as well, so a good position for Nova to grab another steady position. 2nd place here in what has been a chaotic race in the end. A very dramatic one following a big incident right at the start. Really get to see in full what exactly happened. But it was a big wreck. And Darkrai is just 1.5 seconds off of DJ. And of course, 3rd place for Darkrai is not going to be a disaster in the grand scheme of things. And thus, salvation after what's been a grand test of Darkrai's ability to keep cool, calm, and collected after being down in 10th place. Though victory is looking to be out of reach. The podium isn't, although DJ is up in front. Would have to be past first here. Within the final 2 laps we are. Oh, and here it's Ismadelik, 5 Signs, and Dr. Lovejuice. They're going at it. Ismadelik with the run on the NSX into turn 1. 5 Signs isn't really looking to give up, and they nudge for a bit. Oh, and Dr. Lovejuice has gone on through, and 5 Signs must have gone off. Oh, and he was absolutely wrecked. Let's have another look. The question is if 5 Signs was outbraking himself or if someone else was involved here. Wetzo starts the final lap with 5.7 seconds of a lead. It's looking pretty good. Nova in second. DJ still in third here as Dark Rice got the inside run. I think they're going to be battling for it here on the final lap, but there isn't a lot to do, I think, in the Cayman for DJ. Just a long run down to turn 1 as we saw it. Well, that was as it happened. It's a shame to hear, Holman. What happened there? I think you were involved in that early incident on lap 1. It looked rather terrible. It looked terrible indeed here. Wetzo is going to gain from all the calamities, all the drama, to claim the win in front of teammate Nova here. Round 4 at Sardegna is at an end. And it's a 1-2 for VLX. Dark Rise there to pick up the scraps and take 3rd place, and thus holds on to the championship lead in front of DJ in 4th. Ismadelik for One Racing Esports going to be 5th. Dr. Lovejuice is going to be 5th, 6th. They're basically rolling across the line, it looks like. Sucho is going to be 7th. And what about 5 Signs and Barrels? 8th and 9th. They are. Pamigo is coming home for 10th place. X11 for Kinetic is the next one up there, followed by teammate Fullness in 12th. So congratulations to Wetzo of the virtual live experience, the Aussie taking the win today, and a brilliant 1-2 for the VLX team on a dramatic day nonetheless. And yeah, Holman, I guess you would hope for incidents like that to be to not be happening in league racing, because in the end we're all racing for the fun of it and for the racing of it, and it's always, I mean, accidents happen, and it's also a part of it, but I totally get what you mean. Not ashamed to see an accident. I think Bonjour Storm got caught up in it as well. He was very unhappy, and there was a bit of bumping and bruising as well going on throughout the field. Aside from that, we had some brilliant action as well with that. With that big. We had a big gaggle there. 2nd place or 3rd, I guess it was, through 6th. Even when we had the wreck of Darkrai, which we didn't see, by the way, he was just down in 10th place all of a sudden. No idea what actually happened there as well. So, but that battle was certainly interesting. and it kept on being so for quite a while there. And the strategy, worth mentioning, Wetzo pulling off the no-stopper to claim the win when nobody else really maybe have thought that possible, and doing so quite brilliantly in the end, it seems as well. It had to be said, brilliant work from the Aussie, brilliant work. We should look at the results and not the member lists. Here it is, the correct results. Of course, I am available if any of the drivers are up for a short. We'll keep it short, but an interview nonetheless in the Discord channel. But certainly an interesting race, certainly a rough race, and one that had both heartbreak, drama, and a well-deserved winner at the end. It was nice to see VLX gain that top step on the podium. It's also going to bring the standings in a little closer before round 5, which is something that I always applaud. And we're gonna be looking back, or we're gonna be looking ahead till the next round there in 2 weeks, as we're coming towards the final end of the season. It's 2 rounds to go. It's still all to play for. I think Darkrai, from my quick maths, is going to be in a good position to be able to claim the overall title, but you know, given the race today, it could be that that he's in for a bit of a troublesome time here at the end. So tune in 2 weeks time here on ESGT Official to keep track of the saga that is the GT4 series. Lamb 10 seconds faster than I guess we'll have to look at something there, Lamb. Of course, my name is DirtenDK. It's been a pleasure to take you through the action. You can find more of what I do over on Half the Race Gone if you want, so go check it out. I don't think you'll regret it if you like what you've seen here tonight. Do like and subscribe if you like what you've seen here on ESGT Official and want to see more. As I said, I'll be back here in 2 weeks' time for the next round of racing, and until then, it's been a pleasure. Take care, have fun, and bye-bye.